Oh, we're live. Okay. Sorry, everyone. I'm just staring at the screen looking for QuickTime because that's the thing that we played last time. See if I can find it here. It's the right one. No, different one. Well, anyway, everyone, welcome to coaching to Flourish. Raj is out this week. I am here all by my onesie trying to figure this out. So I apologize. I thought I had this queued up, but I had the wrong thing there, but I'll get it here in a second. Um, so happy Tuesday, everyone. It is interestingly enough my birthday tomorrow. So I am excited for that. Feeling like happy, May Day. Happy May, everyone. Can't believe we're already to May. And I am really enjoying these Coach and Flourish podcasts. It is such a treat to be able to do them with Raj, but she's out this week, so hopefully I can hold it down. And I'm going to jump in and do get the other um, half of this done with Nasheya here. And I think I was at the 8-minute mark. I want to share and jump in and let's listen to some good coaching and get some insights and do what we do. So here we go. And I'm going to jump in, get started. Self-say is
a really big, you know, um, reminder of her passing and kind of like hits me all over again. I start feeling regret. So I think just to be able to separate that, not just an insight, but perhaps actual means as well, like actual one or two ways to be able to do that, to keep myself grounded, really.
perfect. Let's do it. What does your spirit self say uh, is the path forward?
I mean, it's funny how spirit, because we've been getting one of our friends, he's able to not channel some energies, but he's able to communicate with some energies. And without even asking, sometimes they send a message through him. And I think it's been like 4 or 5 messages from them. And they've been the same. They're just a constant reminder that we're on the right path. And just a reminder that although a tragedy has hit and we're meant to grieve, to not let it become, our identity, and to stay positive and confident in the fact that Jungwoo's okay and we're being taken care of. So I think, yeah, those are the messages from my spirit self, because my spirit self is aware of that as well. In fact, that's been the only thing that's made this whole process easy, has been my spirituality. Like a reminder that we can't stop death, and we can't predict death, and there's no right or wrong timing. But most importantly, I think my spirit self says that she's here with me, and she's always going to be here with me. And the air that I breathe, or in the water, or in the leaves that I hear rustling. um, I think that's the main message from my spirit self.
What's your spirit self say about separating emotionally from your husband when he's in that space? Oof. Yeah, this is a big question. It is a very tough question to ask, but it was the question that I was most curious about. And going right to the heart of it, I feel like it's the job of the coach to ask questions that are challenging and difficult, yet to also give people a space to explore and see, interrupt those emotional, mental patterns is a really powerful thing for a coach to do. So here we are asking this question. I'm really curious to see how she answers it. I'm remembering this session really clearly now. It's a powerful session. It's one that I think really opens things up. I want to let it roll.
I think the same reminder that both him and I know that she's here with us and she's present, even if we can't physically see her. So it's okay that like both of us will have those days. Um, I think it's giving me courage and a reminder to separate myself, but my spirit self also says it's okay to cry with him because that's what grieving is. So even if his grieving or even if him feeling a bit lower, you know, ignites that in me again, it's good because a lot of things, the sadness and the pain need to be released. So I shouldn't feel bad or shouldn't feel um, discouraged or disheartened when my mood does dip with him because we can grieve together. Yeah.
Right. How does what you're learning about yourself now play into decisions of having a child of your own in the future?
I think, yeah, everyone's kind of, or not, by everyone, I mean people who really know us, because other people don't know every journey that we're on. But my parents, or, a lot of our close friends or our spiritual guides, everyone keeps telling us to have a baby, and we kind of keep running away from it till Changu happened. And that's when I was like, okay, I want a baby. And my husband's like, what just happened here? You're the most, against babies. And over the last 8 months, it's been slowly like shifting. And then especially after Jen's death a month ago, it was very like, okay, I know what I want. I think it's because of the teachings or because of the way that we are breaking the cycle, working on ourselves continuously. We don't really take, not in a chore, not as a chore, but we don't really take breaks from healing or like from improving ourselves, because I guess once you enter this spiritual realm or the spiritual journey, it doesn't really stop there. It just gets deeper and deeper. So even if we're taking time to go even deeper, wherever we've reached kind of has stuck with us. I think those are the things that will help us in decisions about our baby, because it's not going to be definitely not going to be conventional about, caring about the money aspect or the academia aspect or, the competitive aspect. It's going to be more about just love. I think love is going to be at the heart of it. And I think breaking the transgenerational trauma cycle, or trying to break that and trying to heal from that and release all of that stuck in our body, in our mind, even if it's not our own biological baby. I think being able to raise them with that knowledge and awareness and with the willingness to break away, that's what's going to definitely determine our decisions, that we're protecting them from this trauma or helping them heal as well with whatever trauma they've been carrying, especially if it's an adopted baby.
Yeah. 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 What's your spirit self say about this decision? I'm just riffing on spirit self, and I think it's strong. I'm actually going to rewatch this next week with Raj. Like, this is good. Like, this is so good. I really want to hear what she says, what Raj says about this. And uh, a couple thoughts on this part right here. As a coach, I feel like I'm going for some of the hardest questions I can ask. I can understand. I'm thinking of myself, if I were a client of this person talking, like, what would I be thinking right now? What is he doing? Like, what are these pauses about? And then coming up with these questions. Ah, wow. Like, I think this process is a lot. It's a lot for, people in general to open up like this, and then also to feel like the person listening to you is then going to ask this question. You get to process this thing out loud. This is This process is so beautiful. It's sacred. It's holy space. What I'm really struck with here on so many spirit self questions, this very much aligns with future self, or even talking to inner critics, in the sense of, once as a coach, you have a tool, you have something that you can use that is a structure, it's a specific perspective. And let's say that the perspective here is spirit self, your highest self, the self that is most connected to God. And when you're asking that self questions, uh, there's a certain element of stillness that needs to happen. A certain element of, let me just really check in with what is it that I really truly want. We can all do it. Everyone listening here, like, ask yourself, like, what would your spirit self say right now? You can feel it. And when you start to step into that space and have to express that, like, whatever's coming up out loud, you break new ground, you break new territory. And so the repetitive questions, what does your spirit self say? I think those work. I think that as a tool, as a structure, from a coaching standpoint, is effective. You can also do the same for future self, all those others I mentioned before. I'm also struck with her answers, how she's answering them so courageously, so generously. And you can feel healing happen. And I know that coaching is not therapy. It can be therapeutic. The intention isn't to um, prescribe, look at any sort of diagnosis or anything like that. It's more on helping a client truly explore that inner world, that inner geography, and then asking them, what do they want to do with it? How do you want to use it? Questions I'm asking here, I think, are some of the hardest questions I could possibly ask. And yet I'm holding space. And when I'm listening to her, I am imagining that I'm Nasheya. I'm imagining I'm Nasheya. And I'm over there with her so completely. I'm not thinking of the next question. And so I'd invite you, as you're listening to this next clip, to do the same, to really imagine that you're her in this moment. And then I'll stop it and then come up with, we can all just think of questions that you would ask. So as you're listening, I'd encourage you to just listen. No pressure on a question yet. I'll pause it and then think of a question. And then see how long it takes you to think of a question, see how long it takes me to think of a question. See, we'll go there first, okay? We'll play that game. Here we go.
I think and when I mean people who really know us, because other people don't.
All right, there we go.
Breaking the cycle, working on ourselves continuously. We don't really take, not in a chore, not as a chore, but we don't really take breaks from healing or like from improving ourselves, because I guess once you enter this spiritual realm or the spiritual journey, it doesn't really stop there. It just gets deeper and deeper. So even if we're taking time to go even deeper, wherever we've reached kind of has stuck with us. I think those are the things that will help us in decisions about our baby, because it's not going to be, definitely not going to be conventional about, caring about the money aspect or the academia aspect or, the competitive aspect. It's going to be more about just love. I think love is going to be at the heart of it. And I think breaking the transgenerational trauma cycle, or trying to break that and trying to heal from that and release all of that stuck in our body, in our mind, even if it's not our own biological baby. I think being able to raise them with that knowledge and awareness and with the willingness to break away, that's what's going to definitely determine our decisions that were protecting them from this trauma or helping them heal as well with whatever trauma they've been carrying, especially if it's an adopted baby.
Yeah. 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 What's your spirit self say about this decision? Sweet. After this one, I'll stop it and then we'll play
I think
just the
my
question.
spirit self about the decision of having a baby,
Yeah.
my spirit self has been giving me messages for a while that I have been pushing away or just kind of denying because yeah, I've never really felt I've the last 6 years, I've felt very like grossed out by the idea of motherhood, probably because I'm still growing up and I'm still in my 20s. Um, Not felt very excited about it, every time it would come out, I would just a gagging sound would come out. Um, and I think it's because of that concept of not wanting to grow up, but I can't really keep pushing that. And I think holding Jungwoo in my hands and burying her with my own hands and still having to live life and still having to be happy has really grown, like accelerated that growing up process. I think my spirit self has been giving me that message, especially I think in August, when we were in our spiritual retreat. I think we did this a herb called um, hape, which is I think this Peruvian herb that goes in through your nostril. It's really good for like congestion and opens up your mind, not just physically but emotionally as well. And I remember the first thing that went up, it just shoots up. And I looked at my husband and I was like, I want to have a baby with you. And then, so that was my core self, like my emotion, my spirit self, because I was so connected. And then as time went on and my practicality and my logical, my human self came out who wants to have fun and wants to live her life, it started kind of going away from it. So my spirit self is quite happy that even though my emotions have subsided with regards to heightened emotions about Jungkook, I'm still aware of what my purpose is or what one of my purposes are. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Okay. What question would you ask? I'll do the same. I'll do the same. I know it's often and common that I do this and I'll ask the same question. I'll ask this question a lot in sessions, but I'm most curious about this is like, what is it like to say all this stuff out loud, knowing that this is going to be recorded, knowing that this is going to be shared, knowing that this is going to go out there. Uh, I mean, I'm just amazed at how transparent she's being. And at the same time, she's using the coaching process to make these substantial life decisions. It's the best use of time. This is best practice when it comes to decision making. And being in this space with her and listening as her, I'm really curious about the sharing process. That's what I'm most curious about right now. So I'd probably go with what's it like to share all this out loud? Another question though, because that's one I use quite often. Let me ask a more specific one to this too. I'll think about a more specific one. I invite you to do the same. Yeah. If you want to share your question in comments, I might try to find a way to see if we could uh, guess the question or create the question where there's a way that you could type it in whatever medium you're looking at, and then we could see them and read them in real time on the Coaching the Flourish podcast. That'd be fun. We'll see if we can make that happen. All right, but we'll play create the question again. Hold on. I'd ask her probably a recentering question or a question that recenters the goal at this point of um so how does all of this tie back to the original agenda around new perspective, way to move forward, things like that. I think a recentering question at this point might be really useful. Um, Other questions to ask here. How did that experience? How did that experience? Like, what were the other ripple effects of that experience? Probably a strong one too. Yeah, there's a lot of ways you can go with this. We'll see which way I go with it. That's what's it like to say that all out loud?
Ah, there we go. Ah! Yes.
It's quite beautiful because
Ah.
I've been having those same practical sides seep in again. I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about, being up all night looking after kids. I don't know how I feel about this. And it again feels very alien to me. Um, all the practical elements of it. But
She
I've
still didn't take it
this time
inside though. She still went back in her thing. Like, she's really much in her thing. She's not in the room. She's out, all of her mind, thought, and energy is outside the room, like what it would be like out there. Um, I'm really curious about what's happening energetically here right now. That's where I'm on. So I sharpen the question a little bit. And that's probably where I go next, which is we'll see what happens.
instead of letting that wash over me, I've kind of stuck with my core. It's almost like a key and a lock, right? Like once that key has gone in, you can't. It can disappear if you let it. But I've kind of stuck with that feeling, so it's really good to be able to say that out loud because I've just been having this conversation in my head that, oh shit, I'm feeling this again. Um, I don't know when I'll be ready, blah 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 blah. But at least I know that I am ready. It's not if I'm ready or not. So I think knowing that in my being has been really powerful, even if I know that for my human self, I would like to wait for a bit. Yeah, it's quite powerful to converse that out loud, whatever the conversation in my head has been over the last few weeks.
Okay, we'll create the question. We'll play one more time, and then we'll see what my question is. Then I think we'll have to, for the sake of time, stop here. And I don't want to go too much more into it without Raj because I think this is just really fun to see and hear. And I'm really curious what she'll say. Yeah, create the question. What would you ask? I got it. I'll give you another couple seconds. Okay. The question I would come up with is what I'm most curious about here is she's doing a lot of hand motion, like in her head. These things are in her head. She's pulling it out. You can almost feel her pulling the thought energy out of her head and then putting it someplace out, distancing herself from it. I'm kind of curious about what are the ideas or emotions that she would like to create more distance with? And then what are the ideas or emotions that she would like to embrace more? That might be the next question I'd ask here. Another question, just more on a process from that, might be something like, what is that process like? Like, what's the process like about having a thought or an emotion that you want to create distance from? What's your system for doing that? I love these kind of questions because they use the current situation, that a client is in, and then you're creating a system or a perspective or some sort of stepped process that they can use not just in this situation but in future situations, which I think is the ideal from coaching sessions. So it's not so much that I'm solution hunting for just this one thing, but I'm using this one thing as a challenge to help create steps to overcome this challenge. This is a really powerful way to use coaching. Is it solution hunting? Are we trying to find answers for clients? A little bit, but most of those come from the client themselves. It'd be like asking the client or yourself even, okay, let's say that you have a challenge in front of you, right? This challenge is here. What's the default perspective that you're approaching it with? Right. Now, if you were to imagine your 2-year self walked in the door and would say, this is how to do this, right? They know for sure. It's probably a little bolder. It's probably action steps that you need to take. They go, the one step you most need to do, right? The life coaching process question is, what was that journey like from your default perspective to your this is what I most need to do perspective? And when you step into that, this is what I know that I most need to do perspective, what comes up, what shifts, how is this different? How different is it? What do you have to let go of? What do you have to embrace? Like you can almost feel these two perspectives interact with each other in interesting ways. This is very much the life coaching space. And so when I'm here with Nasheya, they're trying to ask, okay, so where are you at? What is this like? How is this coaching space different from your default uncoaching space? That's what I'm most interested about in this. And that's probably where I would take this, listening to it right here and right now and doing this kind of process. But I'm really curious to see what Raj will say about this coaching. From a MCC standpoint, I think I'm doing okay. If I could get into this emotion, ask these kind of questions, I would feel very comfortable sending this to the ICF or MCC level coaching. I think the questions I'm asking, everything I'm doing here, uh, yeah, I'd stand with this. But thank you all for watching and listening. And if you played Create the Question, bonus points. I will, I want to try to see if I can find a way if you do type it in or, find ways to communicate that we could see some of those questions, read them back, interact. Let's make this fun. So everyone, thank you for watching. I will see you next week. Happy May Day, everyone. And until next time, see ya.